So you went ahead and made your own YouTube-based TV show. It's an array of IPAs and fighters on the road. Got a question? Put them in your comment section right below. Barbershop talk while you're sitting in your living room. Pacquiao, Mayweather, and we can't forget the brews. Coming to you live with the scoops like a ladle. Allow me to introduce the boxing round table.
Yeah. You motherfucking too. It's your boy, Rollo Jenkins. Yo, I want to, get this one out here real quick. Me and my fellow graveyard shift working brethren had a discussion about the path to greatness. I mentioned that Triple G was headed toward greatness, and he was like, well, he ain't great yet. And I said, well, no, I wouldn't necessarily call him great yet, but what he's doing is on the path of greatness and not on the path of critiquing or, a lot of these other fighters. He's definitely on the path of greatness to me, in my eyes. And my question is, what is the path of greatness in boxing? Boxing is the only sport where the path to greatness is so different from fan to fan. Now, you might not like the Patriots. You probably can't stand them. Or you're a big-time Patriots fan. But what you're not going to hear is any football fan say that Tom Brady is not a great quarterback. Or Peyton Manning is not a great quarterback. You're not going to hear that. Now, greatest of all time is a whole different discussion. But when you talk about a guy headed for greatness, the standards are pretty much cut and dry in all other sports. You're never going to hear a guy say Kobe's not great, Jordan's not great, or Magic's not great. The greatness standard is the same in all of those other sports. But in boxing, it's so screwed on the path of greatness. How do you become great? What is a path of greatness in boxing? For instance, you got some guys like, prime example. This is a good ass example. Gary Russell Jr. was whatever and no. And then he goes into a fight with a guy Lomachenko who was 1-1. Now, when you look at these two guys' records, like on some box rec shit, and you say, well, Gary Russell lost to a guy who was 1-1, and he was 25-0 or 24-0, whatever the fuck he was. Does it really look that bad on his resume that he lost to a guy who was 1-1? Because we know who that 1-1 guy is. But when 20 years from now, when we go back and look at it on box rec, and we say, well, he lost to a guy who was 1-1, it might look pretty shitty. But we all know the real deal about that. Now, because Lomachenko beat a guy in his second fight who was 25-0, does that really look that good on his resume, knowing that he fought Gary Russell Jr.? We know the real deal on Gary Russell. But 25 years from now, when we're looking at it on box rec, we might say, damn, this dude only his second fight beat a dude who was 25-0? Or whatever the fuck Gary Russell was at the time. See, the path of greatness should be your peer group and fighting those guys. Now, when Gary Russell lost to Lomachenko, or Lomachenko beat Gary Russell, however way you want to look at it, it didn't necessarily make a difference what their record was. It was the peer group that they were in. These guys were peers of their era of boxing. They were remotely around the same age, obviously around the same size, and these guys fought each other. Now, what will ultimately tell the difference is if they continue on and fight their immediate peer group. So in my eyes, the path of greatness is taking on your immediate, recognized good competition. Because you could pad your record all you want, but when it's time for you to have that big fight like Gary Russell did, and he failed miserably, all those 25 fuckers he fought before that didn't matter. Not one bit. Not one. And it's kind of the same thing with Triple G in the sense of this. Who's the middleweight? The middleweight guy who's supposed to test Triple G. It's dwindling down because everybody who thought might have had a chance, he's fought that guy and beat him. Handedly, pretty much so. So, the guys that are left are far few and in between. You got Quack Quillen. You got Korobov. You got Andy Lee. You got David Lemieux. And who is it? Nassim Hadam or whatever his name is. Indam. That's just 5 guys that I can name offhand. And all of those guys that I just mentioned are probably ranked lower than the last 3 guys that Triple G just fought. I could be wrong. I'm just going off the top of the dome. But he's definitely conquering his peer group. Now it's going to be up to these other guys to do the same thing, because a lot of these guys aren't doing that. It's your boy, Rollo Jenkins. Holla at your boy.